online, guys. We're back online. I think we gave you 6 minutes. We're back online. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll continue here. If you look at here, these are the assessment scores for the various states. You have Arizona on this side. You have New Mexico schools on this side. And within those two areas, it's broken down by BIE schools and grant schools. So as you can see, the average for Arizona BIE for 2011 was 52% proficiency. And for 2012, it was 55%. They went up. In 2013, they went up to 56%. And if you look at the Arizona grant schools, they went from 45% proficiency to 39, and they stayed at 39 pretty much for the last 2 years. And if you look at New Mexico schools, it's kind of a little bit the same. New Mexico BIE schools on their state assessment, they had 27% were proficient. They went up the following year to 34, and then they went back down to 30% for BIE. If you look at their grant schools, they went from 17% on average up to 33%, and then they went back down to 25%. And that was for reading. If we look at here, if we look at their math scores, which we included Utah, because in Utah they don't have a reading section that they take language arts. So that's why this wasn't included in the last slide. But if you can see here, for Arizona BIE schools, their test scores were at 35, 43, and 38. For grant schools, they were 22, 23, and 21. So you can see the difference. For New Mexico BIE schools, their scores were 27, 26%, 35, and 31. And for the grant schools, they were 21, 34, and 22. And for Utah, they'll have one of each. For their state assessment, they scored from a 43 to 55 to a 50. And for their grant schools, they started at 32, 36, and then they went down to 28. And that's for the last 3 years. But as you can see here, there are some schools on both sides that do really well. And this is what this shows here, is that for Bureau of Indian Education schools, the schools that are performing really well, that are above 50, at least say 50, are these schools: Tuba City, Pine Springs, Tees, Cove, Red Rock, Ceiba, Many Farms, and Navajo. And for New Mexico schools, if we look at those schools above 50, Sanasti, and that school. And that's for reading. And if you look here for reading for BIE schools that are tribally controlled grant schools, the schools that are above 50 are Kitlachi.com, Rock Point, and Loop for reading. And then for New Mexico, you have Navajo Prep, is the only one above 50. And if we look at the same thing for math now, for BIE schools, you have Tuba City, Tees, are the only two above 50. And then for New Mexico, Sanasti, all the way down to there. And for grant schools, for 50 or above, there is none for math in Arizona, and there are 2 in New Mexico, which are Navajo Prep and Sapiage. So that's pretty much the data that we have in our office that we use from BIE data. If you guys want a copy of this presentation, we can make that available. She has my business cards, so you should go ahead and hand it out if you raise your hands, and then we can go ahead and give you that. We like to work with the schools. We collect your data, like I said, for reauthorization, and we're willing to go to your schools before reauthorization to present your data. So for those of you, there's some that haven't submitted 2014, if you could submit it to our office, and then we can to your schools